Okay, so this time you shared something really quite different. These excerpts from CERNOZOO, the beasts beneath Chernobyl.
Yeah, it's definitely not your standard report. It's a narrative, a story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And our mission today is to kind of unpack this story, right? See what interesting, maybe unsettling ideas are lurking inside this fictional take on a very real event.
And what's fascinating right off the bat is how it layers this hidden history onto Chernobyl, something beyond the tragic accident we all know about.
Right. It suggests the explosion in '86 didn't just release radiation.
Mm-hmm. The core idea is that it unleashed something else entirely, something hidden.
So let's dig into that. This hidden element, it starts with a secret facility.
That's right, ZO Lab 9. According to this narrative, it was deep beneath the Chernobyl reactor complex, even under the workers' quarters.
Hidden in plain sight, almost.
Pretty much. And officially, its purpose was, well, pretty mundane on the surface.
Like studying local animals, Soviet wildlife behavior, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Tracking, observations, standard zoological stuff. But that was just the cover story.
Okay, so what was the real purpose? The secret one.
Well, the narrative claims it was a black site for bioengineering military fauna.
Military fauna. Wow. Okay, what does that actually mean in this context?
It means taking apex predators, wolves, bears, maybe others, and splicing their DNA.
Splicing it with what?
With genes for radiation resistance, for one thing. And get this, neural implants, too.
Neural implants.
Yeah.
In animals.
Okay.
For military use, that's a leap.
It is a big one. And the creatures they supposedly created, they had a name.
Which was?
Cernosapiens.
Cernosapiens. And the text says they were considered, well, what was it?
Not animals. Not humans. Something between, that's quote, deliberately engineered to be in that gray area.
So why create something like that? What were they intended for?
Sabotage, surveillance. Assassinations, even. According to the story. Covert assets.
But then they were just forgotten. How does that happen?
The narrative doesn't fully explain why, but it says they were sort of mothballed, forgotten down there. Left behind.
Until Chernobyl.
Until Chernobyl. The idea is the blast, the sheer force of it, cracked the vault of ZO Lab 9.
Giving them a way out. An unintended consequence of the disaster itself.
Precisely. Which leads us into the immediate aftermath.
Right, because the story adds another layer to those first chaotic days. It mentions soldiers, doesn't it?
It does. Multiple soldiers sent in to contain the radiation, the initial responders within the first 72 hours.
And they weren't just victims of radiation sickness?
No. The narrative claims they were found torn apart, not burned, torn.
Okay, that's significantly different from the official account.
Very different. And it gets weirder. Mention of radiation tags being removed, bodies moved quickly.
And some of them showed signs of being gnawed on.
Yeah, gnawed. It shifts the horror from invisible radiation to something tangible, predatory.
And then there were whispers, local rumors.
Exactly. Whispers of shadowy creatures in the Red Forest, but not just mutated animals on 4 legs.
What, like upright?
Running on 2 legs, according to these rumors, that implies something very different anatomically.
So not just a mutated wolf or boar, something else.
Something else. Of course, the official military line in the narrative.
Let me guess. Blame it on normal wildlife, stressed by the radiation.
You got it. Standard procedure, maybe? But then you have that quote.
The cleanup crew survivor quote. That one really sticks with you.
It had the face of a wolf, but it laughed like a man.
Chilling. That combination. The animalistic and the disturbingly human.
It really is. And predictably, the narrative says testimony like that. It vanished.
Covered up, witnesses silenced, files sealed.
That's the story. Leading to the Cernosapiens, these beasts apparently disappearing again, fading into myth.
But the story doesn't end there in the 80s.
No, it jumps forward, right up to, well, basically now, 2025 in the narrative.
And suddenly, strange reports start surfacing again.
Yeah, it's like the past isn't staying buried. And these aren't just vague stories. The narrative gives pretty specific examples.
Like what?
Like a crocodile supposedly seen walking upright near the Dnieper River.
Walking upright. A crocodile.
That's what it says. And a weird pig-like creature photographed deep in the Belgrade sewer system.
Belgrade. So far beyond the exclusion zone.
Way beyond. And even like milk cartons in Hungary being used for homemade wanted posters for mutants. It's bizarre, specific detail.
Trying to make the fiction feel grounded, maybe?
Could be. And it also mentions mainstream international news outlets picking up on mysterious sightings, especially around New Belgrade.
So it's becoming harder to ignore even within the story's world.
Exactly. It suggests whatever these things are, they're spreading out, becoming more visible.
And there's a name that starts popping up in police chatter.
Yeah, a name from the past. Vuk Zemunovic.
Wasn't he some Balkan crime lord? Supposedly died back in the 90s.
That's the one. But now, someone or something is apparently using his name. And recruiting.
Recruiting. Recruiting what? Or who? For what purpose?
That's the big mystery the narrative throws out there. It raises the stakes considerably.
Which brings us to the really big picture implications in the story. The world is not ready part.
Right, because this isn't just about scattered monsters. The narrative frames CERNOZOO as a network.
A network? How would that even work? These are disparate creatures, supposedly.
Well, the idea presented is that each beast somehow remembers the lab, like it's encoded in them.
Encoded, you mean genetically? Fragments of code in their genes? Was that the phrase?
Yeah, exactly. Like some kind of, I don't know, inherited program or memory linking them. It's speculative, obviously, but core to the narrative's threat.
So they might have shared goals or motivations.
The story suggests a few possibilities. Maybe revenge against their creators, maybe a desire for control, or just, survival.
But survival as a collective, not just individuals.
Possibly. It hints at organization, communication between them. Maybe those old neural implants play a role. Or something else evolved.
Communication, organization.
Really?
That implies intelligence, coordination.
A scary level of it, which leads to the narrative's, quote, wildest theory.
Okay, what's the wildest theory?
That they're not just surviving or reacting, they're actively building something.
Building what?
A new order. But not for humans, and not really for nature either.
For what, then?
For something beyond both. That's how the narrative puts it. Vague, but deeply unsettling.
Yeah, something beyond both definitely leaves you thinking. It's a strange, almost alien concept.
It really is. It pushes it beyond simple monster horror into something more existential, maybe.
And the narrative ends with that direct warning to the listener, doesn't it?
It does. Very direct.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this, stay in the cities. Watch the forests. Trust no one with fangs.
Stark. Almost like a found footage warning.
Yeah. And the final line, the CERNOZOO is alive. Just leaves it hanging there.
It's effective, though. Leaves you with that lingering sense of unease. Even knowing it's fiction, it taps into those anxieties about, well, consequences.
Unintended consequences, yeah. Of science, of secrets, of disasters, what might really be lurking out there.
Exactly. And makes you ponder that final idea seriously. What would a new order built by beings like that actually look like? What would their goals be if they really were organizing?
It's a chilling thought. A dark, imaginative what-if to chew on long after we're done here.